Today we're doing two NFL player props here on PrizePicks for Monday, September 11th, Monday Night Football. Before I get started, you guys check out the link in the description below, wap.com link. Sign up for our premium Discord, $9.30 per month here. It's where I post all the plays I'm making on PrizePicks. We have some other premium cappers in there that post all of their plays. Again, super positive community in there as well. Over 200 members in the premium side. Go ahead and check out that link. But let's get into it, you guys. Monday Night Football, crazy weekend of football overall. I would say first Sunday of football. Overall, a pretty crazy weekend. College football was super fun on Saturday, but I mean the NFL, just a ton of injuries yesterday. Obviously the J.K. Dobbins news. I think there was some other injuries as well. Just overall, pretty insane Sunday in my opinion. Definitely some upsets like the Rams, the Buccaneers both won. I think they were both pretty significant underdogs in those matchups. But Monday Night Football here, two NFL player props. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not gambling advice. These are simply plays I'm personally looking at making, hopefully giving you guys some insight and analysis to then make your own player prop decisions here. Again, no one is pressing submit on those parlays other than yourselves. But let's get right into it, you guys. I got two plays here, one from each team, and both these plays are actually going to be fantasy scores. So, let's get right into it. So you can see here, the first play is going to be, let's take a look at the spread real quick. I think this should be a pretty close game. Both these teams, division rivals. 2-point spread. Buffalo's going to be 2-point favorites here on the road. 45 over under. But the first play is going to be Josh Allen over 20.5 fantasy score. And I know, the Jets have a extremely elite defense, and definitely they have a super elite pass defense. But this line to me just seems a little too low for Josh Allen, who's going to be asked to do things with his legs. And again, he's one of the most talented quarterbacks as far as just being able to do damage with his feet and his arm in the NFL. So you can take a quick look at his last five here. He's over this line in 4 of his last 5. His last miss coming in that playoff game here against Cincinnati, where, I mean, if you guys remember, he just did not play well really at all. But we take a look at Josh Allen, and in 2 games last year with the Jets, or 2 games, versus the Jets last season, he finished, look at the rushing attempts, 9 rushing attempts, 86 yards for 2 touchdowns. That was at New York. So the exact same scenario. He finished with 26.8 fantasy in that matchup. 205 yards passing. He threw no passing touchdowns in that game and still finished with 26.8 fantasy. And then the other game versus the Jets at home, he finished with 20.6. So he did clear this line. He had 47 rushing yards and a touchdown. Passing yards, 147 and a touchdown. So he's been very limited passing the football against this Jets defense 2 times last season. So obviously he can do damage with his legs. It's Josh Allen. He's going to have a ton of opportunity to clear this line. It's just a little bit too low. So we take a look at Josh Allen's fantasy score game log last season, including the playoffs. He only missed this line 4 times, you guys. 4 times. And he actually only missed this line. Let's just take the playoffs off, right? Let's just take the playoffs, right? Regular season last year, Josh Allen only missed this line 3 times. 3 times. 19.6 against Green Bay earlier in the season. Back in October, he finished with 218 and he threw 2 picks in that game. So 2 picks, not very good. He had the worst passing rating, or second worst passing rating of the season last year against them as well, 75.1. 16.9 against New England at New England, which we know Bill Belichick can take certain things players like to do out of the game, and then had 12.6 against Cleveland. Just did not play well at all in that game as well. But again, only missed this 3 times last season. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 of 19 games. 13 of 16 games in the regular season, he cleared this line. All right. And you can see how many times he cleared this line pretty easily. All right. Last season versus the Jets, like I said, cleared this in both games, 26.8 and 20.6 fantasy. If we take a look at Josh Allen's game log in his career, on Monday Night Football as well. He's cleared this line in 4 of 6 games on Monday Night Football and smashed the over on this in all 3 games on the road for Monday Night Football. 29.7, 30.1, and 32.3 fantasy for Josh Allen on Monday Night Football. And when I saw this line at 20.5, it's just a little bit too low. Like we saw Patrick Mahomes, his line was at 25 flat, obviously against a poor Lions defense. But I mean, Josh Allen at 20.5 in a primetime game in a game that I think should remain pretty close. It just seems a little too low for me. Like we see Aaron Rodgers at 15.5. I mean, that's only 5-point difference for Josh Allen, who can just do so much damage with his legs. And like we just saw other quarterbacks this weekend, I think like Justin Fields was at 19. So many different quarterbacks were right here at the 20.5 fantasy score level. And again, it's Josh Allen, guys. He's got the weapons. He added a new pass-catching tight end to go along with Dawson Knox. So he's got Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox. Both these guys sound very similar, but he's added another super big pass catching tight end to that offense. They're going to probably run a bunch of 2 tight end sets, which should only help Josh Allen, especially on some designer runs for him, with both those guys blocking in the open field. Now we take a look at the Jets last season, their defense versus position. They did give up the the 5th most rushing touchdowns to quarterbacks, at 6 total rushing touchdowns last season to the quarterback position. They also were up there as far as just rushing attempts to the quarterbacks, as well as, yards per carry, not that high for quarterbacks, but the pass defense for the Jets was just elite, right? They gave up the 2nd fewest passing yards per game to the quarterback position, and they also gave up the fewest passing touchdowns per game to the quarterback position, which I do think, again, it benefits Josh Allen here, in my opinion, to have a super elite pass defense, only because he's going to get his passing yards. Like, this is the NFL, right? The rules, things are designed for these games to be high scoring, and for him, Josh Allen, to go through his reads, not see a specific guy open, and then have to use his legs, I definitely think will help him for fantasy score purposes. Now we take a look over on Outlier. Again, Outlier, there's a link at the top of the there's a link in the description below, not at the top, but a link in the description below to sign up for Outlier. In my opinion, one of the best research tools in sports betting, and they have a great mobile app as well. So go ahead and check out the link, Outlier. I use this research tool every day. But Josh Allen currently, some odds. He's at minus 131 to go over 36.5 rushing yards. All right, which to me, I think is the number one key stat, as far as, obviously there's not a fantasy score odds on the books, but to me is the key stat for Josh Allen to clear this line. So if he can get us 40 fantasy points tonight, 40 rushing yards, which would be 4 fantasy points just off rushing yards tonight, I think would definitely help him. And you can just see last season, Josh Allen, in 2022, he did clear this line of at least 36.5 rushing yards 11 of 18 times. And like I said, both times he cleared this, I believe, versus the Jets. Let's see. 47 against the Jets. I should have it right here. Let's have it. 86 against the Jets and 47 against the Jets. 3 total rushing touchdowns between those 2 games. So, again, I like Josh Allen over 20.5 fantasy. I just think, given how many times he's going to have the ball in his hands, how many different ways he could get this hit this line, I like the over on this one. And then the second play here is going to be from the Jets. It's going to be Dalvin Cook. I like his over 10.5 fantasy score. So, again, both these plays here, to me, are like kind of fun plays to just target. Not obviously fun, but I definitely think the odds of these hitting are pretty solid as well. So let's get into this. So Dalvin Cook, right, he's expected to lead this backfield Monday. You can see here Ian Rappaport says Cook is still expected to see the bulk of carries out of the Jets backfield against Buffalo and for the early part of the season, even though Breece Hall is set to be available for week 1. Now, I think we're seeing this line at 10.5 because of that news that Breece Hall is going to be available. But think about this, like Dalvin Cook, if last season when he was with the Vikings, if his line was at 10.5 fantasy, you'd smash the over on this every single time. Like literally every single time. Dalvin Cook, we take a look at last season with the Minnesota Vikings, his PPR fantasy scores. Look at this. Like, he smashed the over on this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 times last season with the Minnesota Vikings, he hit the over on this line, right? 13 times. He also faced Buffalo last season when he was with the Minnesota Vikings, right? Same exact scenario he has tonight. He had 23.6 fantasy points in that game, ran for 119 and a touchdown, also had 3 catches for 27 yards. That's 5.7 fantasy points just from him receiving the ball at the backfield. Now, this is PPR scoring, guys, so he gets 1 point per reception, which is why I like his fantasy score here. We take a look over on Outlier. Currently, over 1.5 receptions for Dalvin Cook is at minus 200, right? There's no chance that line is going to be available here on PrizePicks, but we see minus 200 minus 200 to give us at least 2 catches tonight, right? That's 2 fantasy points right there that he's very, very much so favored to hit, right? We take a look at 2022. He hit at least 2 receptions in 13 of 18 games, and we know Aaron Rodgers loves to target his running backs. We saw last season with Aaron Jones as a running back, right? Aaron Jones last season versus Buffalo as well. Same thing as Dalvin Cook, right? They're both in the NFC North. Dalvin Cook versus Buffalo last season, 23.6 PPR. Aaron Jones last season versus Buffalo, 19.7 PPR. He ran for 143 on the ground. 143. So Dalvin Cook and Aaron Jones both last season versus the Buffalo Bills, 143 for Aaron Jones, 119 in a touchdown on the ground for Dalvin Cook. Aaron Jones also in that game had 4 catches for 14 yards. We look at A.J. Dillon in that game last season, who, again, got a ton of touches for the Packers last season with Aaron Rodgers at his quarterback. Let's see. A.J. Dillon had 7.3 fantasy points in that game, right? Only played 27 snaps, 10 carries for 54 yards, and then caught a pass, one catch for 9 yards, right? So it's a great matchup. We see Dalvin Cook here is expected to lead that backfield. Said he's seriously some snaps, but Rappaport's claim that Jets will play it safe with their young running back indicates he'll play second fiddle to Cook on Monday Night Football. Right, we take a look at running back's fantasy score game log versus the Bills last season. Dalvin Cook, right here, had the highest scoring fantasy score night versus the Bills last season in all of the NFL. We see Aaron Jones is right here. So 2 of the top 3 highest scoring fantasy running backs last season in PPR versus the Bills were Dalvin Cook, right, who the player we're targeting, and Aaron Jones, who's the running back with the quarterback for Dalvin Cook now. So just take that in. Pretty interesting. We look at Jets running backs last season versus the Buffalo Bills as well. Donovan Knight, Michael Carter, and James Robinson all cleared this line last season versus the New York Jets. Michael Carter and James Robinson actually did this. All cleared this line last season versus the Buffalo Bills. And both these guys did this in this same game last season. All right. So it is a good matchup. It's a great matchup. You can see here last season running backs targets. Aaron Jones. Right, we know Aaron Rodgers loves to target the running back position. Aaron Jones had 72 total targets last season, and Dalvin Cook was down here. He had 56. So we know Dalvin Cook is going to get targets. He's obviously heavily favored to go over 1.5 receptions, which, if you can give us 2, 3, even 4 receptions in this game, this 10.5 fantasy score line is a little too low. Because if he can get a touchdown, this is over. Like, if Dalvin Cook can somehow find the end zone, everything else will fall into place, and he should, like, that's 6 fantasy points. He's going to be able to clear 4.5 or whatever the difference is. So, again, let me know in the comments below how you feel about these 2 plays. I'm super excited for this matchup to see this new Jets team. Obviously, the Buffalo Bills are super explosive as well. Drop a like on this video, hit that subscribe button, and as always, let's cash.